All right, ready?
Dang it. No, but let's do it anyway.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Nerdy Psychologist Book Club.
Get ready to explore the magic and the mind games behind your favorite YA novels.
I'm Brandi Hawk, a trauma psychologist and proud book nerd.
And I'm Deanna Boys, a psychology expert and fellow book nerd.
Let's discuss why your favorite heroes and villains do what they do and what that means for you. Welcome to the club. Today, we are so excited to be joined by our friend Brandi Liles.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Brandi Liles. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist that specializes in working with children, adolescents, and young adults who've experienced trauma, and I'm an occasional guest of the Nerdy Psychologist Book Club.
We're so happy you're back.
Thank you.
Love you're here.
As a reminder for everyone, we spend a month reading one book, and every week we'll discuss a new character or concept related to that book. And this month, we are talking about Heir, and it's our last time.
It's our last time talking about Heir by Saba Tahir. And just as a reminder for everyone, it is in the Ember and the Ashes universe. It is fantasy. There's magic. It's dystopian. It's fun. No, it's not. Actually, it's devastating. It's a devastating and great read.
And sometimes spicy.
My favorite part. And it follows three main characters and a bunch of other characters, but an orphan, an outcast, a prince, and a killer who will bring the empire to its knees. There's Aiz, Saoirse, and Quil. They each come from different backgrounds. It's an interweaving narrative. I'm not going to give too much because I just kind of want to jump into it, and I hope you follow along. So,
I forgot to say our disclaimer.
Please do.
Sorry. No, so okay. Some of us here are psychologists. This is not therapy. It's not your therapy. It's not your therapy.
Dang it.
But it is book club. So enjoy.
Join us. And at book club, we always have a fun drink. And this sounds sad, but this drink is called the Sea of Suffering. And if you are if you end up reading this book, you will know why. But I would love to share the Sea of Suffering with y'all. Also, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to suffering. Cheers to suffering.
Part of the human condition.
Yep. Look at this beautiful, beautiful sea of suffering that smells delicious.
Oh my. That is so good.
Oh, I thought I wasn't going to like it. But I do.
It's like a sour perfection.
Yeah. Those of you that can't see, there's like the sufferings on top. Got some sparkles. It's really light because it's in the white part, which is like an egg white drink.
I love it.
Very blue. Like the sea of suffering.
At some point, we need to give a shout out to Lee, our bartender.
Yeah.
Who makes these drinks.
Yeah. I come up with the concepts and Lee executes them beautifully. He's an amazing bartender.
He really is.
Hire him. No, I'm just kidding.
So we're talking about suffering. And while we're not talking about the sea of suffering necessarily, I do want to talk about our other favorite character, Quil.
Yeah.
But really, I want us to talk about Quil and Sufiyan because they kind of go hand in hand. And for the really exciting last topic of discussion, I think we should talk about complicated grief.
Let's talk about death.
Yeah.
It's getting real dark in here, y'all.
But you can't talk about Quil and Sufiyan without talking about death and the effect of grief. So
you really can't talk about humanity at all without talking about death and grief. It is just part
you can. It's called avoidance.
Or we're going to talk about the effects, negative effects of that.
It is one of the parts of living.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to start with the difference between grief and complicated grief, right? Because everyone experiences grief when somebody that they love dies or leaves them for any reason. Yeah. But complicated grief is different because it's connected to trauma, right? And so when someone dies in a traumatic way, or when you learn of their death in a traumatic way, complicated grief occurs because the normal grief process is unable to happen the way it's supposed to because our PTSD and trauma symptoms get in the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, there's nothing in the literature that says, oh, this kind of death is going to lead to complicated grief versus just sort of traditional grieving or like typical grieving. But there are a couple of characteristics of the death that happen that sometimes trauma-related symptoms get in the way. So if it's sudden, unexpected, or like violent in nature. Right. Now, again, there are other types of death that can lead to complicated or traumatic grief, but those types of the ways that people die will often interrupt the typical grieving process.
So, for instance, if your brother and girlfriend are ripped apart and you come upon their bodies, might that be a traumatic way of finding about death?
Yes.
So specific.
Weird. So that's exactly what happens to Quil, right? Yeah. So Quil has this girlfriend, Ilar, actually IEs. Pretending.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
He's in love with her. She's pretending to be in love with him. Maybe kind of has feelings, but whatever. She and Rue, which is Sufiyan's little brother, go searching for Mother Div. And Rue should not have gone, but he goes anyway because he loves Ilar. And they go and they unleash Mother Div, which is actually the spirit of the Sea of Suffering. And in order to have power and survive, she needs to eat the hearts of the innocent. And so she kills Rue. And it's very bad.
Yeah.
And then Aiz goes away with her, and Quil thinks that the person that Div did kill is Ilar. And so he comes across this just absolutely brutal scene and is horrified. Yeah. It's terrible. And then the Bani al-Moth, who's Sufiyan and Rue's grandmother, comes and tells him, you have to forget what you've seen in order to save the world, right? Like, you cannot tell anyone any of this. You cannot tell anyone that I've been here, and you need to just forget all of this and move on.
Which, I mean, sounds crazy, but if you think about, in our real jobs, right? Our typical jobs, like working with kids and adolescents and young adults who've experienced trauma, this type of secrecy happens all of the time. Especially when you're thinking about death that happens in like a quote unquote non-acceptable way. So the two that come up most are suicide. And drug overdose.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, don't tell people how they died.
Because there's shame around the cause of death as well.
And you can see this in social media posts, right? Where it's like, oh, this young person has died.
That drives me insane.
Not really any details about how they died. And, some of that might be like respect that the family just wants some privacy. I'm not saying people should be expected to post on social media how a person dies. But when people are avoiding the how, that can create a lot of secrecy and shame and kind of just stuff it down and don't deal with it, which we see some of the negative effects, some of the painful consequences of avoidance of that in these characters.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about avoidance. Okay. So page 20, right off the bat. Quil is talking to the Bani al-Moth. She says something about Ilar, and Quil's chest twisted at the sound of their names, which conjured their faces, their scents, their voices. Stop. Don't think of them. Bury it. Right? So we have that physiological reactivity and then the intense avoidance.
One, and also the intrusive thought. Right? So I think a book ago, y'all talked about some of the PTSD related symptoms, right? And so one of the traumatic symptoms that often happen after someone's been exposed to trauma is intrusive thoughts. So these can be like little, what we call pops, like pops of memories of the traumatic memory that happened, or they can lead to like flashbacks, like pretty intense memories, all the way to like fully re-experiencing the traumatic memory that happened. So feeling like you're back in that memory at that time. Typically when intrusive thoughts happen, those create the physiological sensations that you're talking about. And in order to avoid that sense of panic, we're like, don't think about it, don't think about it, don't think about it, don't think about it.
Bury it down.
Stuff.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But oftentimes with my clients, I call this like the pink elephant. And so like if you say, don't think about a pink elephant, don't think about a pink elephant, don't think about a pink elephant. Now you all have images of pink elephants in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we try to push something down on our body, our mind, our brain is trying to tell us something. And in death and in grief, intrusive thoughts, oftentimes it's trying to tell us, you miss this person. You loved this person. This person was valuable and important to your life. And because we're trying to push down all of the like traumatic ways that they died in the intrusive thoughts, which makes sense. They're painful. We don't want to experience them. But when we push that down, we also push down their love, their memory, their, like the things that they contributed to in our lives, which is really the only thing that we have after people die is how they've contributed to our lives.
Mm-hmm. So is that kind of why later, once Quil says or realizes that also he's quite attracted to Saoirse, because honestly, who wouldn't be?
Who wouldn't be?
Love her.
So he's attracted to her and he kisses her.
Literally kicking my heels when it happened. I was like,
it was so good. And he kisses her and then he thinks about wanting to kiss her. And then he gets a huge no. How could I forget Ilar this quickly? How could I be thinking of this woman?
She sucks, man.
He doesn't know she sucks.
That's true.
He doesn't know she was lying to him the entire time.
Like the relationship was real for him.
For him, it was real. And now he's got this new good thing, but he can't enjoy it because he's reminded of the old thing.
Yeah. And again, when we're thinking about even the typical grief process is so painful, right? Because we have to learn to live without the person that we loved, or even if we're not connected to that person at the time, like think about complicated family dynamics and things like that, where it's like maybe this person abused you or harmed you and now they're dead. But their death still leads to the fact that that abuse is never going to be repaired. Like it now loses the opportunity for reparations. And then obviously when we love someone and we are so connected to them, then we know that there's going to be no new connections that happen because that opportunity is gone. And so it's so painful, even in just typical grief. And then when PTSD symptoms get in the way, we can't kind of move through some of the typical grieving parts where it's like at first the memory is so intense. And then, like I've lived experience with this, and Dan and I were actually talking about this before we started filming because we've both lost parents, of like your grief just changes over time. It doesn't end, but it just changes over time. But some of those changes mean that it's not as intense as the day that it happened, that you lost the person. And when you're going through typical grieving, it kind of gets to that spot where it's not as intense. But when it's complicated or traumatic grief, the PTSD symptoms have to be processed and dealt with. And you have to learn some skills to be able to manage those symptoms so that you can then go through the typical grieving process.
Yeah. You just dropped lots of things on us there.
Well, and I think that, right, so Quil has this image of Ilar and it's like, no. And he doesn't continue with his, romanticizing in that moment, but it doesn't stop him long term. He is able to realize that there's this good thing and he's able to slowly create new connections and new love. Yeah. Which is, I think, hopeful for us.
Yeah. Like it's about preserving the positive memories, holding on, to their contributions, right? And then also forming new connections. And, you know, death can just make us scared to form new connections, because like if I form this new connection, then I could lose that person.
Yeah, and have the same thing happen all over again.
Same thing happen all over again, which, yes.
That is how the world works.
That is literally how it works. But we don't often think about the consequences of being void of connections, and how painful that is. We're trying to avoid this future pain that we're going to experience, but then we put ourselves into such present moment pain, because connections are what help us survive the hardships of being a human being.
And Quil and Sufiyan and Aurelia have that connection, right? They help each other. They have joy. But they also go through some pretty unhelpful coping mechanisms, right? Yeah. So sometimes avoidance leads to things like Sufiyan sleeping around with prostitutes, with getting right, with diving too hard into work, right? So like he's described as avoiding maladaptively in lots of ways. One, like over involvement in I'm feeling things, so I'm going to go have sex with a prostitute.
Yeah.
But also I'm feeling things, so I'm going to go practice my swordsmanship and like go and work.
Yeah. We often think about avoidance only as like the maladaptive behaviors that get us to avoid feelings, but like we can really have what's considered more adaptive behaviors.
Especially in American culture.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked with some clients who like their parents have died and they just like went and took a quiz the next day.
No, literally
like
that is exactly what happened with me, is that like my mom died and it was, it was awful. And I went to work on Monday.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember being so upset with people who even mentioned it to me. I'd be like, listen, I'm working. And I was just like, do not bring this up to me. And it finally broke when someone brought me flowers. And I was just like, I'm so mad at you. Yeah. But like I had to like accept and grieve. And it was like 3 or 4 days after it happened. So I was just like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'll accept it.
Like I'll have to process that. And so sometimes avoidance can look positive. Like, oh, look at her strength. She's going to work the next day right after her mom has died. But really that's because it's like to avoid our internal experiences of grief and sadness and anger and all of the things.
Right. And, more helpful than turning to alcohol or drugs or over involvement in sex, right? Like,
over time, it actually leads to the exact same consequences.
Yeah. Burnout.
Yeah. And just like, again, lifelong human suffering. But I think from a societal perspective, it's quote unquote better.
Yeah. I mean, like in the moment, people aren't going to notice it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be seen as positive. It's not going to be seen as you're throwing your life away.
Yeah.
It's just that you're throwing the rest of your life away when all that you do is work.
Yeah.
Right. You're losing the rest of it.
I promise this won't be my therapy session, guys.
So the other thing that Sufiyan talks about is, and this I think goes hand in hand with avoidance, is anhedonia, which is, the super big psychology word that just means like boredom and not wanting to do things, right?
God, give it a psychologist to come up with like the most annoying name.
I constantly, when I work with kids, I'm like, okay, and now we're going to talk about this. That's another big word that doesn't need to be so big.
Doesn't need to be so big.
So, I have a quote for this one. So he and Aurelia are looking around and she's like, oh my gosh, look at these fountains. They're so amazing. They're the coolest things in the entire world.
So she's present moment, joy connected to her. Yeah.
She's like, I am living my best life in this moment. And he says, page 427.
I thought so.
Says, I wish I loved something that much. I used to, but he loved many things, drawing, medicine, archery. And Aurelia says, you will again. It will take time is all.
What a good friend.
She's such a good friend.
There's an analogy that is not my analogy. It actually, I can't remember her last name, but her handle is called Nurse Hadley. And she's a hospice nurse. And so she like goes
I've seen this.
to people's homes and like helps take care of them until that they die. But she had this beautiful analogy of like a grief button. And so there's this button and your life is like, you're this little ball that's moving around. Well, when the death first happens, your window is very small and the button is very big. And so the ball is just chronically hitting that button and it just feels so intense, so painful, so sad. Just that feeling of like, I can't move on. I'm never going to love anything again. And then as time goes on, the button doesn't actually change because like when someone dies, you don't ever get over it, but your life expands around it. So the window gets bigger and you're the ball and like you keep moving along your life. But then when that button is hit, it's that same intense grief that happened when the person first died. It's hit less because the ball's bouncing around more around life. Right. And so then the goal is not to like get rid of the button. You can't get rid of the button. The goal is to be able to grow your life around the button. And then also obviously accept the feelings of sadness when that button is hit and being able to spend time with your feelings and validating those. We just talked about validation like last episode. And of course, you're going to feel sad and pain related to that. But pain is part of the human experience. And so if we can sort of accept us, open ourselves up, become more aware of when we're experiencing it and engage with that sadness instead of pushing it down very deep, don't let it come to the surface. That's when you can really like move along in life and be able to like have those experiences of beauty and connection and love again, even though you've lost this person.
Yeah, that's good. Can we talk about guilt?
Yeah.
Sure. When we talk about complicated grief, I think there's also a big component of that is guilt around what I could have done or should have done. We see that actually with both of them multiple times. But on page 177, we see Quil struggling with that, right? It was Quil who'd found Rue and Alar, or what was left of them anyway, in the recesses of a place he'd hoped to never see again. He'd never told anyone that he'd fought with Alar before she died. He knew they'd say it wasn't his fault, and he wanted the guilt. He deserved it. If he had done what Alar had asked, she wouldn't have written off brokenhearted. She wouldn't have been torn to shreds by a killer. Right. So it's his fault. It's his fault.
Yeah.
Obviously,
that this happened.
Also, like when I was reading this, like
I
don't think I think I still was like, wait.
Yeah.
It took a second. And I was just mad again. I was mad at Aiz again.
Well, yeah, because this is before we know that Alar was Aiz. It's before we know that her request to see his aunt was not this pure-hearted request of the girl that he thought she was. It was a very like specific targeted request to try to get something from his aunt, and she was using him in order to get to his aunt, right? So, but he has all this guilt because he doesn't know.
Sure. But this also happens even when we do know. Like even if we know like, oh, I didn't cause this person's death, there's guilt of, I said something mean to them before they died. I didn't go up and see them. I should have done this. I should have done that.
100%.
Right?
I've experienced this in real life.
Yeah.
Where like you like literally you were going to go see somebody and you didn't because you're like, I just don't feel good. I don't really want to. And the next day they died. And it was just like, what was I thinking?
So I want to talk about basically this concept. I see this all of the time with the clients that I'm working with in traumatic grief of that shame and guilt is actually another avoidance strategy of the true natural emotions.
Oh my gosh, I love this. Shame and guilt are avoidance
of
unhelpful.
The sadness and the grief that are the natural emotions of loss.
Okay.
Right?
What are the natural emotions of loss?
Sadness and grief.
The
right?
only two.
Yeah. I mean,
only two get to be there.
Well, I mean, like again, some anger, like depending on the dynamic.
Sometimes a little bit of joy and happiness if the person was harmful to you.
Jeanette McCurdy's.
Absolutely.
I'm glad my dad died. My mom died.
Yeah.
Ooh, I had a drink.
Yeah. I have not read that book, but it's been highly recommended to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like when something happens that we can't predict the way that it's going to happen. Right? Like the natural emotion.
We are fortune tellers though, right?
We think we are. is sadness and grief. It's like we have to process the actual loss. But when we throw things up on, well, I didn't see them that day, or I didn't do this thing, or I didn't do what they told me to do. And if I would have done that thing, maybe the outcome would be different. That's another distortion that we call sort of like outcome-based reasoning. And so it's like we're looking back, hindsight 2020, Monday morning quarterbacking, whatever you want to say, right? Where you're like looking back and saying, now that I know all of the facts,
obviously,
if I would have done something else, then it wouldn't have happened that way. Well, obviously. A, you didn't know all of the facts at the time. And B, you don't really know whether it would have happened differently.
Also, like, maybe you're not that important.
Or that powerful.
How could you say that?
Or that powerful.
You are important.
You are important, but maybe you're not that important or that powerful.
The main character in everyone's story.
But we pause.
Oh no!
Right on the white pants.
Kirk out. It's fine.
No!
It's fine.
Do we have a little? We don't even have a little.
No, right.
Yeah, let's cut. Let's cut for a second.
Oh no!
I just didn't want it to ruin the book. I'm okay with it ruining the pants.
It's not going to ruin the book because it has the cover on.
That's why. Oh, and the chair.
The chair.
Okay.
Just go get I just need to.
I don't care about the pants. That's fine. Oh, but I'm so glad I got it out of the gold.
Yeah. Oof.
And the book is fine. We're good.
It's totally fine.
We were filming the whole time. Everybody, I spilled the drink on me. It is okay.
We're back in business. We're back in business.
Are we back
Was
on?
I saying something, or did I just get excited and knock my drink? You were saying something.
I think I was saying something. I was talking about like how shame and guilt are often avoidance of like the sadness and emotions. And that we as humans, like we want to feel more powerful and in control than we actually are, which is just a survival mechanism, right? Like if I can control this person dying, then I'm not going to have to lose all these other people because I'll just have all these control behaviors that are going to keep something from happening.
Oh, because you are God.
Right. That's what our distortions tell us. That's what our distortions tell us. But in reality, there's so much unforeseeable thing, which gets to your point of like, we're not that important. Maybe a bit of an invalidating way to say it, but it's just like, we just don't have that much control.
I think it's so validating to hear that
it decreases your anxiety.
Like I'm not that important, right?
Yeah.
I'm not that important to anyone's life other than my own. And like, let's be honest, how important am I to my own life?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Very important to your life. Can you, for a second? Like you are very important to your life.
Yeah, I am very important to my life, but like, I am not everything.
Yeah, and it's a dialect. It's a dialect, right?
Yeah.
So like we have some control over how we show up in circumstances that are often uncontrollable.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so, but there's this handout that we use for clients who are going through trauma treatment. This is not mine. This is Patricia Resnick's. She has a trauma treatment for adults called cognitive processing therapy. It's basically how do you process some of the distorted cognitions that come up after a traumatic event happens. She talks about these 3 levels of responsibility and sort of like the role that you played in the event and then what the natural emotion is. And the key is like if we can put out some of the unnatural emotions, if we can kind of let some of those unnatural emotions
unnatural
go,
to grief.
To grief, yeah. If we can let some of those, the things that we're sort of adding to the pile, right? If we can let some of those go and stop adding those, then we can feel the grief and sadness that often exists when something like somebody dies. And so there's 3 certain things. Guilt and shame is around fault and blameworthiness. But from her theory, you really only, like the natural emotion of guilt is shame is when you intended harm and you intended the outcome.
So Sufiyan feels guilt and shame because he says, Rue was my brother.
Yeah.
I was supposed to make sure he was here. I went into his room. Rue had put pillows under his bedding.
Smart little brother.
In the, most obvious way to pretend that you're in your bed possible.
Yeah.
Just like sitcom level.
Right.
Yeah.
And Sufiyan's like, I should have known. Like I looked in, I saw the pillows and I left. It's my fault. I was supposed to protect him.
Yeah. Yeah. And so was that intending harm?
No,
Was that intending his death?
absolutely not.
So then the guilt and shame is unjustified.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying it's invalid, right? Like, of course, he's trying to make sense of all of this stuff, but it's just unjustified. He didn't intend harm or intend the outcome.
He is not the evil creature that came from the depths of the sea of suffering.
Yeah. And so then the second one is when there might have been some responsibility. Okay. This is you played a role in the event, but you did not intend the outcome to happen.
Like
Is this
we are.
Ais?
No, this is Saoirse.
Oh.
This is Saoirse. This is my theory about Saoirse.
Okay.
Why would Saoirse try to kill 1,200 people?
I mean, I for sure think that she did not think, like she was not
Whatever she
intending for
did,
1,200 people to die.
yeah,
100%.
whatever she
But
did.
maybe she played, yes. So maybe
played some kind of
she
role.
played some type of role.
But Ais for sure, right? She loved Rue as much as she could love anyone.
She knew what she was taking her to.
But she
right?
didn't. No.
Did she? Oh, no, she didn't. You're right.
Because she
Not that
still
time.
thought it was Mother Div. She thought that she was
You're
releasing
right.
this
Yeah.
holy cleric that
is
loves children.
Ais. That is Ais.
Right? Ais took Rue. It is her fault that he came along. He would not have gone there if it were not for her, but she did not have any knowledge that Rue was going to die.
This is exactly like I was saying the other day with dark materials.
Yes.
This is like whatever her name is.
Azriel
Azriel
and Lyra.
And Lyra and
I just watched the
friend.
show. I didn't read the book.
and when she brings her friend Roger
Roger.
to be murdered by Azriel.
But she doesn't know. She doesn't mean
So
it.
she played a role and she didn't intend the outcome.
Yes.
The natural emotion, regret.
Oh, that's a natural emotion when that happens.
It's regret. So I regret that I took him there, but it did not intend the outcome to happen.
Is the natural emotion supposed to be rationalization and figuring out that it's okay that Rue died because it's going to make sure that my people can get back to their home?
So
Everything's
like another
fine.
avoidance strategy,
Is
right?
rationalization.
Yeah. And it's another avoidance strategy. So regret, right? And like when we experience regret, we can still face up to the thing that we did play a role in, but we're releasing ourselves of the guilt and the shame because we did not intend the outcome to happen. Right. But we still might have to have some behavioral change. So maybe the behavioral change is I need to figure out, like I need to problem solve more before I do things, or I need to ask more questions before I just follow along or something like that. Right. Where it's like we can still change our behavior to kind of face the regret that we have, but it doesn't mean we're fully responsible. We intended the harm and the outcome for the person to happen. And then what I feel like is where most death lies, and honestly a lot of different traumatic events, is the unforeseeable.
Yeah.
And so this means there was no real way to predict that this was going to happen at this time to this person in this context. And that's where the natural emotion is grief, sadness, loss. I have lost this person, and that is horrifically sad, right? And so then processing those natural emotions. So now you can see how like the guilt and shame, I intended the harm, intended the outcome, is an avoidance strategy of the natural emotions, which is just sadness.
Yeah. Because guilt and shame
sucks.
Guilt and shame's like more in your head, right? Like I can talk myself into my guilt and shame, but I have to just feel my sadness.
Yeah.
It goes back to kind of like the emotion wheel and like the 6 main emotions. Like it's a deep one.
Yeah, for sure. So this sucks.
Yeah.
Sad, but there's ways out of it. And I brought up last time that I think that Quil's power is actually healing, even though it's memory review.
Yeah.
And I'm going to double down on that because it also talks here on page 237. He says, so he had looked at Helene's thoughts and it was horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
This is the one that kind of got me to like Helene a little bit.
And you're like, oh, okay, she's all right. So he says, after that, he'd vowed he'd never use his magic to read someone's thoughts again. But memories were different. So many seemed to have a will of their own. They wanted to be witnessed, especially when filled with violence or pain.
Yeah. And like sadness it's not a problem to be solved.
Is it Is it
It's
not?
an emotion to be felt
Yeah. And shared.
and shared.
Yeah.
So, we're just saying like how much sadness sucks. And I get it. Like it's a very uncomfortable emotion that we want to avoid. When we're thinking about death though, like sadness is there because of love.
It's like
That's true.
evolutionarily there. Like I'm not gonna
Like you're not really that sad when someone you don't love or connect to in some human way, right? Dies.
Mhm.
And so when the sadness shows up, it is also reminding you of the love that was present.
Sadness or grief is like love persevering, not to like quote another
Yeah.
Disney show.
And just like, I think when we can put ourselves in the sadness and remind ourselves that even though the sadness is really uncomfortable, it exists because of love. And to remove the sadness would be to remove the love. And would any of us take that risk?
No, for sure not.
No.
And that comes back to the memories wanting to be known.
Yeah.
Right. Is that when we have friends who lose people, right? When we have friends who are dealing with grief, it's not very helpful to be like, oh, here's a card that says you're going to get through it, or thinking
or
of
they're in a better place, or
Right.
like all of that
the
bullshit
thinking
stuff.
in a better
Yeah.
place, I'm like, that is so dismissive.
Well, it's avoidance. It's
Yeah.
avoidance, right?
Right.
Because like, don't think about the sad things. Think about these happy things that we don't even, like just
Yeah.
think about the happy.
But what if we just let them be sad and say, I'm
Yeah.
going to be here with you.
Yeah.
And this sucks.
Yeah.
Tell
like
me
that-
about them.
Not trying to say like, I know what you're feeling. You have literally no idea.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I can't imagine what you're feeling. I could imagine what you're feeling. That must be awful.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't know what you're feeling. And I'm here for you.
But it's one of the reasons why, Deanna, I created a little space that we called Dead Parents Club,
Yeah.
DPC. And so sometimes when we need each other, like someone who has lived experience with a dead parent, we'll pull our DPC card and be like, okay, nobody else is invited, because
Yeah.
then we don't want the little niceties or like
Just
the
literally,
try
I
to
need
understand.
deal with it.
And then we'll just go and be together and talk about our dead parents sometimes, and sometimes not talk about our dead parents, but it's for the goal of being able to connect over this sadness and this love that we've lost, and the fact that we're not going to have any new memories. But it doesn't mean we have to avoid the old memories,
Yeah.
yeah.
because that's what we got. That's what we got.
And we're allowed to love these people.
Yeah.
We're allowed to have these memories.
Yeah.
And what would
Yeah.
a life be like if
Without
we never
it.
experienced sadness because we never lost anyone that we loved? That means we would not have loved anyone.
That would be horrible.
It'd be horrible. I love so many people.
And that's where it's like, again, grief, sadness, it just wants to be felt.
yeah.
Quil and Sufiyan just want their grief to be felt.
Yeah.
Aw.
I think they feel it by the end and they feel better.
They do.
And they're connecting through
They're
it.
connecting. Yeah.
Oh.
Yay.
Is that a good place to stop?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about this.
We could talk about it forever.
all day. I will
I'm sure
probably
it'll come
cry
up in more
eventually.
books. I'm sure it'll come up in more books too, though, right?
It
Because
will.
again-
I mean, we're talking about YA. No one has parents. So
Literally
no one has
literally
parents.
parents
Yeah.
don't exist.
They don't exist. But yay for making it to the end. We didn't cry. Yay for you.
It would have been fine if you cried,
And
though.
also,
but also
valid,
we're good.
valid. If you cried,
Good job feeling your feelings.
Crying is good.
Crying's good. Thanks for coming. This concludes Heir by Sabata here. And, thanks for joining us on this journey. If you like what you're hearing, like and subscribe us on all the fun places. And come back for next month.
Next month, we are discussing Fable for the End of the World by Ava Reed. This is a new dystopian novel that follows some very interesting characters in the Lamb's Gauntlet, which is, slight spoilers ahead, when someone in your family has racked up enough debt that they can no longer pay it, they can offer you up as sacrifice to be killed for sport.
We'll be continuing our discussions about death and
Yeah.
sadness.
Death and
Yay!
grief and all the things.
It's a really great book. I'm super excited to read it with you all. Remember to come to our Patreon. You can find all of our cocktail recipes from Lee's Corner
And mocktails.
and mocktails for everything, as well as our handouts that go further into all the information that we discussed and additional snippets from our conversations. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Rolling with the homies #2. So glad you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if anyone was doing this last time, but if anyone is doing big exhales out of their nose, maybe try not to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang it.
I heard it once and it popped in my mind. So Because
Chair, not chair.
on that top.
No, it's the chair.
Dot and that, like dot, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the last time we used neon blue drinks.
Yeah, I mean.